You are watching the Faux Show, hosted by yours truly, number 4, powered by Blind Soccer Nation and viewers like you. All right, Blind Soccer Nation, you are watching the very first episode of the Faux Show with yours truly, number 4 of the U.S. National Blind Soccer Team. I am delighted and happy to be joined here with my homie, my new homie, who's been helping me so much with learning how to be a center mid because I want to get better. I want to get really strong, and he is a very accomplished player himself. This is Keryn. He's from the UK. He actually went to 2 Paralympic Games, and I want you to give me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Osborne. Thanks for having me on. I was number 4 as well, so it's
Oh,
good to be in great company. So it's always best number on the field, the general.
yeah, it's a
Um,
magic number, clearly.
exactly. Yeah. So I played for England and Great Britain from 2005 until 2018 when I retired from the international squad. I probably played my last ever game of blind football 2 weeks ago in the Buczovice Blind Cup in Czech Republic. But yeah, so I've been playing for 19 years. I played at the Beijing and London Paralympic Games, 7 European Championships, 3 World Cups, and 1 IBSA World Games. Won a few medals, no gold ones to talk about, but a few near misses, and just had a hell of a lot of fun playing the game of blind football as an amateur, then as a professional, captained my country for a few years. And now I'm just trying to do a bit of coaching around the world and doing some stuff with the India blind team, and just looking to help out wherever I can. So it's really good to be on here with you.
Yes, so I appreciate you. And that is a heck of a resume. You've been out here for 19 years. You did mention something offline the other day that you're going to another tournament.
No, well, the last tournament I went to was the Buczovice Blind Cup, which is like the kind of the best club tournament in Europe.
Yeah.
That was the last tournament I played at. But yeah, the next one, oh yeah, offline. Yeah, so I'm going to Hamburg in a couple of weeks' time just to do some coaching with and
Okay.
playing, like, and training with their club team at St. Pauli there.
Okay.
But that's just some stuff I do because those guys are my friends, and yeah, and it's a great city to visit. So yeah, it's
Hopefully,
nothing
hopefully,
official, but just fun.
yeah, hopefully we can get you out to the US. One of the
Oh,
questions
yeah.
I had, I want to back up a little bit. You said you played for England team and you played for Great Britain. What does
Mm.
that selection process look like? This question actually comes from one of our US national players, David Brown. He wants to know like what's your selection process look like since you played for both countries, right?
Oh yeah, so yeah, it's probably not as professional as David might think. So in the UK, we've only got at the moment an England blind team. But other disabilities have a Wales team, have a Scottish team, have a Northern Irish team. So when it comes to Paralympic Games for people like the cerebral palsy team, they will have their national and home championships, and then selections will be taken from there. With us at England, because there's only an England blind team, if you played for England, that you then basically played for Great Britain if you were selected. But then you still had to get
Mm.
selected, and we didn't have that many players when I was playing in the Beijing and London cycles. We had maybe 12 or 13 B1 players that were good enough to get selected.
Yeah.
Um, and then we had to bring that down to 8 then. So, yeah, it was just all done on camps, national league tournaments, and then performance in friendly matches then to get the final selection, which generally comes about 4 months before Paralympic Games for us.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that
Mm.
was my other question. How much time do you guys spend together training? So you said only 4 months to get to a Paralympic Games together?
No, no. So the selection would happen maybe 4 months before, but
Okay.
but when I first started playing, um, it wasn't as professional as it is now in terms of the amount of camps they had. So when I first started playing, there was a camp maybe every 8 weeks, something like
Mhm.
that, and the players would meet up on a Friday night, do a gym session, maybe do a little technical session, and then Saturday do a technical session in the morning, one in the afternoon, and then go home. And that would be it for 8 weeks with there was no national football league or anything like that. So, but now the guys will be at 2 camps a month together where they'll have pretty much 4 contact days a month together.
Hmm.
But when I was playing and when I was a professional, the contracts were a little bit different. And at certain points, we were spending 12, 13, 14 days a month together. So it was really, really intense.
Yeah.
And then, we had National League and then friendly matches. So the model has changed a little bit now, just in terms of the way the funding works.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
the
like you guys are
guys,
spending a lot of time.
yeah, we used to spend a lot of time together as an international team, but now the guys will do more stuff with their clubs because geographically, obviously, it's easier in the UK. So, like teams like West Brom or RNC in Hereford, those guys will train together maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and then once a month come together to play in the National League.
How does those clubs work? How many clubs do you guys have?
At the minute, we only have 3 clubs.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's West Brom, there's RNC, and then there's Merseyside. But in the past, we've had as many as 6 clubs. Only 2 years ago, we had 4 clubs. So there was Brighton as well. So I was the
Hmm.
head coach and player at Brighton. We won the league in our first season. And then there was a lot of structural problems, which you'll be able to identify with, where people got replaced in terms of heads of the coaching and things like that, or head of the disability section there. And lots of people left, and there is now no blind team. So one season, one league title, and then no team again. So yeah, that's the trouble with blind sport in this country, really.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that sounds like a struggle, that's common everywhere. So it sounds like we got to do a little bit more work to kind of build up the grassroots and resources and everything like that.
Definitely need more players. We always need to find more players, and then once you've got those bigger groups of players, then a lot of those problems start to iron themselves out. Then.
What do you think would help get more players out?
I think you need to have dedicated people that understand blindness and understand where to find blind people and are willing to get out there and do it. And unfortunately, I think when you in sports development in the Western world, a lot of these jobs are taken up by people who don't have visual impairments, that maybe don't understand the background and the landscape of blind athletes or where to find people within specialized education. And it just ends up being a poorly done job, really. So I think having dedicated outreach people that understand blindness and where to go and source blind talent is really, really important.
So you hear that, Blind Soccer Nation? We got to get more involved to help each other. We shouldn't wait on other people's to build things. We have to build our own structures. I think that's the message that I'm taking away from what you're saying.
Absolutely, yeah. And you guys are in a great position where you've got such fertile ground because the game is so new there. You've got a chance to build your own structures and be agile and be proactive and make things happen like you are.
Yeah.
To go out and shake shake stuff up and make things happen.
Yeah, we're trying. We're trying. One of the questions I had, like, what is one of your actually this question came from one of our national team players as well. What is some of your go-to drills? And how important is conditioning?
Oh, go to drills. And yeah, 2-part question. I like that. So are we talking technical drills like dribbling, that sort of thing?
Yes.
Go to drills. So I would say when it comes to dribbling, it's really important that we look at all the different speeds of dribbling. And a drill that we did at nauseum and for so long was this drill called assess, engage, attack. And it was dribbling at 3 different speeds and it was working across the pitch. So the first speed is assess, and that is literally, when you get thrown the ball, your first couple of steps are assessing, aren't they? They're just kind of almost walking with the ball. Um, and you're just assessing. So you've got your head up, you're scanning, you can hear everybody around you. You don't necessarily have to concentrate that much. So you dribble from board to board, from one side of the pitch to the other side board of the pitch, 20 meters, assess. You get there, you get to the board, you touch, you turn around, you assess all the way back. So you've done 2 sides at assess speed. And then engage speed is that kind of middle speed. So that middle speed of where you're kind of getting into second or third gear. You're just looking to engage a player to maybe go around the outside of him or her to set for a pass, a shot, whatever you might be. So you're in that middle comfortable speed. So you go across the pitch, you do engage, engage back. So you've already done 4 sides, and then attack speed is that very top end speed that you can manage without losing the ball. So, like you said, explode earlier. You're exploding into that attack speed, and that's the speed you would use to accelerate past the player or accelerate down the wing, and you'd go across the board, touch in, make sure you're not losing the board, and attacking back, and then you have. So you've done assess, engage, attack, 6 widths of the board, 120 meters, and then you'd come back and you'd have whatever rest you needed to be able to go and do that. So we would do that maybe 8, 10, 12, 15 times with somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute's rest. And once you've done that 10 times, you've done almost a mile and a half of dribbling. But I would also do tons and tons and tons of dribbles where I would do 5-meter dribbles, do a drag back 180 degrees, do a drag back 180 degrees again with the opposite foot. And I would just make sure I was doing endless drills like that to repeat to make sure that I had those kind of skills down pat. And then you can do that assess, engage, attack, drill lengthways on the field as well, because we don't always go side to side.
Yeah.
Sometimes we've got to go longer distances with a faster dribble. So but always under control, and always when you're doing things like that, and if you've got to do them in your home areas, I would say count your mistakes, count the amount of mistakes you make in terms of the ball getting away from you, the ball touching the boards, missing a drag back, because then the next time you do it, you've got something to measure against and go, oh yeah, I only made 4 mistakes that time, whereas last time I made 8. So yeah,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
the dribbling. That would be my go-to.
Blind Soccer Nation, did you guys hear this? This is top-notch stuff. Like, this drill sounds amazing. So you said, okay, so assess,
Yeah,
engage, and attack.
attack. Yeah, those are the 3 different speeds. And again, you can do that in a straight line, or you could do that with a zigzag drill, or with an S-shaped dribble. Mix it up.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. That is amazing. Now, a little bit about conditioning. How important is conditioning to you guys, and what do you do for conditioning?
Oh yeah, like I didn't take it. Like I was somebody who did a lot of gym work prior to football, and it would be the beach weights and it would be stuff like that, because I used to be a cricket player. So like being strong and tough and big in your upper body was very, very important. So
Listen, listen. We're in America. We don't know nothing about no cricket.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We know about beach weights, right? And that's what I used to do. And that's what I thought was conditioning. And then I went into football and I was doing all this stuff. Football is essentially a one-legged game, right? You're always doing, if you're running, if you're changing direction, if you're dribbling, passing, shooting, you're always doing something on one leg. So something I learned very, very fast is doing those unilateral drills. So whether it was weighted drills or whether it was agility or just practicing how to change direction and move, doing unilateral work and unilateral conditioning was massively important. But
Yeah,
then, not forgetting your standard compound lifts. If you can throw in some power, brilliant. But anything, if it's Pilates, if it's yoga, anything that's going to make you anti-fragile is absolutely brilliant, because when I got older, that's when I started to put in more work into my conditioning. When I got to 29, 30, and I was playing a whole tournament, I'd be falling apart by the end of it. And
yeah,
then I realized that my conditioning wasn't where it needed to be. So I invested more time and effort into getting the right conditioning. So yeah, it is absolutely important if you want to have a long career, 2 a career without injuries, and a successful career as well, because sort of being anti-fragile is massively important. Where it's such a physical game.
yeah. I wonder is some of that conditioning, is it like position specific, or do you think each position can train, and are we at the point where each position should train a little differently, or no, or should we all just kind of have the same type of conditioning work and training?
Yeah, I don't think it's got to that point. Yeah, and I think the way the game is going, the way it is more aligned to futsal, I think everybody's got to have you know, a, a pretty strong background in all the different components of fitness. But if you are a centre back, then you probably need a good level of power and conditioning in terms of like those first 2, 3, 4 yards, so more explosive power. Um, if you're somebody that plays in the diamond and you're a wing back, maybe you put more work into your aerobic and anaerobic conditioning, and do more work around the intervals and that kind of thing. Um, and again, if you're a forward, you're probably along the similar lines to a central defender as well. You know, it is power and pace over 3, 4 yards, but also, you know, everybody defends now. Everybody attacks pretty much. So I
Yeah.
think everybody's got to be strong in those different areas.
So you think it kind of what I hear you saying is more it's more formation specific, depending on the formation. You could because there's some formations that we run on our end where if you're a center mid, you're running, like
Yes,
you're
yes.
running.
So yeah, centre mid in that Y formation, you know, the 1-1-2,
Hmm.
is probably the most physically and mentally taxing position you can play in the game. Because yeah, you know, if you're playing in a not very good team, you're going to be doing more running than you are dribbling or passing or shooting. Um, and it also communicating and listening and doing all sorts of stuff. So yeah, that is a position where you've got to be massively fit. Anaerobically, you've got to be brilliant as well. You've got to be able to run backwards, sideways, and track, and also just be good enough to technically support your forwards when they've got the ball on the sideboards to be able to get the ball out and recycle it. So it's a really, really important position, that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one is akin to the two wing backs in the diamond formation as well for me, because again, they're both very taxing positions where you've got to be good both sides of the ball.
Gotcha. So let's sneak behind enemy lines a little bit. Right now, we have a tournament coming up, and we will be playing England. They're supposed to be playing another team, but I don't even know if that's been announced. So I don't know if I can say that publicly here. Um, so, so I have to watch what I say. But I know we are playing England right now. As our team prepares for that team, what do you think will be some good tips for us to kind of help us out? You know, be competitive against such a team that's so well established as England is.
I think you've got to bring them down to your level. I think you've got to. I mean, the first thing you need to do is win a lot of those single physical battles. So when it comes to loose balls, or the balls being thrown to their attackers, as close as you can be to begin with, to get touch tight, to disrupt them, to make them pass the ball. Anything you can do to stop them from dribbling straight at you is really, really important. So if that is just getting there, getting a hand on, making sure you're tough, you're hard to beat as a single defender, then those are the first things you need to do. And England, you know, like a lot of European teams, typically start quite tentatively. They don't generally start dominating like they possibly should do for the talent that they have.
Yeah.
So it's about sort of climbing into them psychologically a little bit, and being loud, being dominant, being first to each loose ball, and winning those kind of individual physical battles, and then sort of making the game a little bit messy, slowing it down. You know.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about us, about our team. You know, we got a little heart. You know, we're trying to build and we're trying to figure out, you know, what's our style, like what's what we're going, and we're slowly establishing ourselves. We played Canada already twice and we've beat them. You know,
No.
which is pretty good, pretty good. Now we're kind of stepping it up a little bit,
Mm,
and you know, so I think what I'm hearing you saying is like really we need to really focus on our 1v1s, make sure we're winning those battles and forcing them out of what the type of game that they want to play, being a little bit more
exactly. Yeah.
disruptive.
Exactly. And the type of game they're going to want to play is let's get the ball under control. Let's dribble direct at these USA players, but they also will want to mix it and they'll want to put in some passing moves and look quite clever. So if you know if fundamentally when they get the ball into their front two, you've got to be in their faces. You've got to be in their faces as the ball's arriving, with
Mhm.
one hand on them and making them know that you're there and you're not going to be taking a backward step really. But I would say that formation wise, 1-1-2 might be quite an open way to go against England. So
Yeah,
something like a 2-1-1 or a diamond formation is probably better set to I suppose matching up what they're going to do, because they would probably go with a 1-1-2 or a diamond themselves.
yeah,
So if you play with diamond, at least your wing backs can and kind of basically be placed out there ready to engage those high forwards who are likely to be Fa Shinwell and Issa Amjad, who are two of the best players in Europe at the moment, I would say.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tall order, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I unfortunately will not be out there. I'm
Mm,
taking a little break. I thought that was a little too much for me to chew this year, but I will try to return in 2025. One thing that I noticed that you said you were saying getting a hand on them. This is something
mm.
I know me and you had a conversation about offline again, and trying to just teach that. Explain that getting that hand on that tackling technique. Can you teach a little bit about that and let us know how does that look? What does that look like? How does that work?
Yeah, so like I almost like try to teach it and coach it as that as a blind player, you use one hand as your eye, really, as your eyes. That's how you feel how somebody's going to move.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm trying to approach and close somebody down, I like to sort of get out there early, get that sprint there, and when you get within kind of 3-4 meters, or 4 or 5 yards for you guys, you're looking to slow down, kind of assess where they are in terms of where they've controlled the ball, whether they're facing you up, and kind of I'm almost creeping sideways with my left arm out, almost like a boxer stance,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm kind of touch them with the back of my left hand if I'm on the left wing, or the back of my right hand if I'm on the right wing, depending on which way I want them to move. And if I can feel them on their lower back or upper back, I can feel which way their hips and shoulders and body are turning, so I know which way their body's going to be turning, so that when the ball is presented to me, I can make a block tackle, or I can just keep sort of ushering them away with my shoulder or my hip and making it
Mm-hmm.
difficult for them to either face me up or pass me. So, yeah, using that hand, extending it almost like a boxer, getting a jab out there, and then you're low in your stance. And then whatever they do, you can hopefully match that movement then.
Yeah, and pray that that person's not really, really fast and they spin on you really quickly.
Exactly, exactly. But even if they do spin on you, at least you've got a hand on you, can feel which way they do spin, and then
Yeah.
your body can match that movement then.
See, I love that. I love that you taught me that, and I love you're having a conversation now because far too often we see a lot of like younger players and novice players not understanding your first point of contact with that player should not be a shoulder. It should be that back of that hand to one keep you safe and keep that other player safe.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's just get out there, get the one hand on. I mean, sometimes like you see a lot in blind football where everybody's hands are everywhere, and it depends on the experience or the ability of the referee. Sometimes where you can get away with having two hands on and sort of almost be holding somebody around the waist. And that's one thing that if I was in charge of the game, I would, even as a defender, somebody who liked to disrupt the game, I hate that two hands on kind of, because it just turns the game into a wrestle and it makes it ugly. But if you
Yeah.
can get one hand on, at least you're showing that you're a good technical defender, and you can, again, you can still match the movement. Because if you've got two hands on somebody, that means both your feet are probably pointing in the same direction, and you're
Mhm.
squared off. And if somebody turns you, you're absolutely dead anyway. So one hand is always safer.
Yeah. That's funny you say that two hands. That's happened a couple of times in practice.
Yeah, yeah, it will, and unless it's refereed properly and people understand. And when you play in the games, and if referees are going to, give free kicks for two hands on, that's when you soon learn, because suddenly you get to 8 meter penalties, and you're like, oh shit, we shouldn't have given away all those fouls,
Exactly. What was I want to ask a question, like a personal question. What was like your most memorable, most glorious, the most I made it moment that you've ever experienced in blind football?
Oh my god, that's a really hard question for somebody who put so much pressure on myself to win stuff and never did. It's really like
But you've
on the field
accomplished a
I've had
lot
some,
though.
yeah, like I don't remember like single moments, like sometimes, like some, as a defender who didn't score many goals, like the odd goal I did score, I remember some really really nice ones.
Hmm.
But in terms of like great moments, like I remember my best game ever came against Brazil in 2014. Every time I played against them before, they'd beaten us like 5-0 or five
Oh
one,
man.
and it was always quite humiliating. And in 2014, they came to Hereford for a tournament with Spain and Italy, and we kept them to a nil-nil draw. Obviously, we didn't beat them. It would have been great to beat them. I know Americans don't like the concept of a nil-nil draw, but for me, that was incredible because they had Jefferson Gonçalves and Ricardo Alves, the two best forwards in the world at the time and for some time afterwards. And Ricardo's, I'd say, the best player that's ever played the game and probably will play it. And I played as a centre back, and just everything I did that day in terms of defending came off. Every lunge tackle I made, it was clean. Every
Yeah.
block, every time they had a shot, I seemed to be in the way of it. And I was just kind of reading the game and communicating with my teammates and getting them in position to do things. And it was just one of those games where I was just in total flow.
Yeah.
I've had a few games like that in my career, but like I talked about the Butchervita tournament, like playing at that in 2016 with my Worcester University team and winning that's like one of my most favourite moments in all of blind football. And that wasn't even in international competition. It was just a great experience with great people, fantastic tournament, fun teams, and obviously getting to captain my country for 3 years was a huge honour as well. So yeah, I've got
Yeah.
loads of fun memories.
Yeah, that's great. Last question, very last question. You mentioned flow, and some people have different perspectives on flow. Like, I'm not going to give anything away, but I want to get like an organic answer from you. But like, do you think your flow came from? Do you think it just comes, or do you think you trained it?
You've got to train for it. It doesn't just happen by accident, does it? The amount of times that Michael Jordan was in flow, it wasn't because he was just accidental. It was because you trained for it. But I was somebody that had to train really hard because I was not a natural player. I was not a natural ball sports player. I was probably a natural at understanding sports, but I was not naturally talented.
Mm.
But then once you played enough games, once you've done enough drills, once you played against enough really good players in training, sometimes good stuff just happens and you're there. And again, you combine that with good psychology and a good sort of dedication to psychological skills training. Then I think that all that stuff marries up, and then it comes off. And like you said, even a stop clock tells the right time twice a day. So
Exactly.
sooner or later you're going to get there.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Karen, for like coming on the show, the first episode of the fourth show. I really appreciate that. Like you've
No,
given
you,
so much
no,
information.
that's great. Are you going to tell me something about the USA team? I thought I was going to learn all about the USA team today.
Yo, this is one sided. No, I'm just kidding. What would you like to know? This is a good. This would be a good
Yeah,
subject. What would
tell
you
me
like to
about
know?
the players. Give me a lowdown on the players. Give me an understanding of sort of what to expect from some of these guys. I'm really thrilled to learn more.
So the cool thing about our team is we're full of different personalities, and we have a whole variety of different body types and playing styles, and
Hmm.
we have different skill levels and fitness levels. So it's going to be an interesting game as to see who plays what position. Especially with with me not being there. um I've seen like how we're running. I know what position we're going to be running, but I'm not sure how we're going to fare with the pressure and competition of this magnitude. So it's going to be a bit of a test, and I wonder like how we're going to stand up to it and how we're going to
Yeah.
respond. That's because it's going to be a tough one for them.
Oh, your signal's dropping out. I think the
No,
CIA. I think the CIA are tapping in. They're trying
yeah.
not to.
Do you turn off more Wi-Fi? You turn off more Wi-Fi on your phone? Sorry, not you.
You're right. I can hear you better now.
Okay,
I think it's the NSA.
hey, probably so. It's like break it up. But we have some pretty solid players. I always like to say I'm the self-proclaimed fastest person on the field, which I am, unless David wants to contest me on that. But David Brown's going to be back. He's a great player. He's very strong. He's our center back. He loves playing defense. He doesn't mind getting a little nosy and getting in there and breaking
Right,
some things up and clearing that ball up the field. He's going to be our enforcer. We
right,
have I don't know who's going to play center mid. Like we have another player. His name is Charles. He's really cool. He's our captain, and he's kind of like a two-way player, like I am. he's decent on both ends of the ball, defense and
Mm,
offense, which I really pride myself in as well. So he's going to be a force as well. And we have two
nice.
really good shooters. We have Alvaro, and we have Alvaro, aka Thunder, and we have Ricky, um, Pretty Ricky. If that's who, I forgot what we call Ricky. I call Ricky Ricky. So we have two pretty good shooters, and then we have some support players on the team. But that's going to
Mm,
be the core of our team. You know how we respond, or how what are we going to look like under this kind of competition? I don't know. That's
mm.
going to be a question mark. But it's going to be fun to watch. You know.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And do you guys have like what's the club scene there like? How many clubs do you have, and when's it? When do you have like nationals and things?
So we have one. We have one. We have zero. We have one team in Texas called the Metro
Oh yeah, I've seen
Blaze
those on
Blonde Soccer team.
Instagram. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're the only team. I've been going to Dallas and playing with them because they do have quite a bit of players out there and they're developing. So, Blonde
Nice.
Soccer Nation has been partnering with them trying to get more things going. And Blonde Soccer Nation's so we're on the East Coast, Blonde Soccer Nation is, and Texas
Yeah.
is all the way out west.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, we're trying to do our thing out here. This is the reason for the YouTube channel and the
Mhm,
reason we get you on. I'm trying to build a team. I'm going to start a team here in Richmond called the RVA Raiders BSC, which is a block soccer club, and
mhm.
try to get it going here on the East Coast. But
Nice.
we're really in our infancy. We really don't have any clubs, no tournaments, no leagues, no anything.
Yeah. 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 So the players that play for the national team, do any of them play for the Dallas team?
Just only Ricky, only one
Oh,
player.
okay. Where do the rest
Yeah.
of the players come from?
Different states. We're spread all over New York,
Yeah.
Louisiana, California. Have you ever been to the United States?
Yeah, I've been to New York once and LA once.
Yeah. Well, of course, they're very far apart
Yeah.
from each other, thousands of
Yeah.
miles.
As far
So,
apart as you can get. Yeah.
so we're all spread out. So me,
Yeah.
I usually take it upon myself to kind of go see some of the guys. Like I saw Alvaro, he's in Arizona. I see him in Arizona this year. I've been to Dallas a couple of times, been to Cali, so I usually
Mm,
pull up on the players to kind of get them ready and try to do my part to help them train. But
nice.
now with the Block Soccer Nation, we're trying to do it on a more official capacity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And what date is the tournament starting with England and mystery?
November 7th through the 11th or the 12th. November 7th or the 11th. So you guys got to stay tuned and watch for that game. It's going to be on YouTube, probably on the USABA channel.
Oh,
I
cool.
was The guys were telling me to do a live reaction, a live watch party or something. I may do that.
Yeah, you should.
Um,
You should.
yeah, I may do that. I may do that. I just got to put some things together to see how that would look.
Yeah, do like an Instagram live or something.
Yeah, I mean, since now we have this streaming platform, that actually might work. I think we can
Mm.
actually put it on the screen and watch it with someone and live. So
Yeah, yeah,
that might be an option.
yeah. That's really cool. That sounds great.
Hmm.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, if there's anything I could do for you guys in the meantime, let me know.
Yes, I will. And thank you so much for being such a good sport and helping me with my training and then sharing all this information. And I'm sure the guys will absolutely love it. And I reached out to Coach Last. He'll be waiting to
Mm.
hear from you. If
Cool.
you want to share any Instagrams or anything or any things you want to share.
Yeah, you can get me on Instagram. I am. You can if you just type in Keryn Seal, you'll find me. KerynSeal. But I'm also on there as Sealzinho 4. Um, so that's my handle. But if you type my name, you'll find me on there, Keryn Seal Coaching. And I'm on LinkedIn as well if anybody wants to chat and about boring sales stuff. So yeah, that's me. That's me. But yeah, honestly, really good luck to obviously you and the channel there. Hope you get back in the national squad. I can only see good things for you with the way that you're thinking about the game and asking questions, and I'm sure things will change quite soon. And what exciting times there is ahead for all of you with LA 2028. I mean, Christ, I know
Yeah.
I know how exciting it was for me going to London 2012, and you guys have got nearly 4 years now to get on that train and get yourselves ready for what's going to be a brilliant tournament.
Yes, for sure. That is another conversation that we'll probably have once down the road, once we start to really get in the thick of that preparation. I'm sure it's going to take a lot from us. So
Yeah,
thank you so much. I
no
appreciate your
worries.
time.
No worries, no worries. If anybody listening wants any, advice or anything like that, just hit me up on Instagram or whatever, or get my WhatsApp from you. I'm always happy to field any questions.
Yes, Keryn has been a wealth of knowledge. I can attest to that. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Keryn.
no worries. Cheers, Antoine.
Faux show.